What's going on, good people? Adrian Homeboy Holmes here to welcome you to the new season of Super Gamer Book Club. New season? Where's the old season, I hear you say? Well, you can find all the episodes of the old season from our original book club host Zetch on our Patreon. And you can also find the newest episodes of season 2 with host me, ding, on Patreon as well. Me, Garrett, and a special guest every month choose a game and we go over it and talk about it in a shorter, more informal kind of setting. It's almost like we're just hanging out and telling what we liked about the game, what we didn't like about the game, so on and so forth. So we decided this is too cool to sit behind Patreon for all of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the older episodes and put them out on this free podcast feed for you guys. And if you want to check out the new episodes of stuff that we're doing, you can go and subscribe to our Patreon for only $1 and you get the brand new book club episodes when they come out. That's all I got for right now. I hope you enjoy the episode and I hope you come to see what we have on Patreon. Take it easy and enjoy the show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of Super Gamer Book Club. I am your host, Adrian Homeboy Holmes, and I am joined tonight by the Colonel himself, Mr. Garrett Morlang. How you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. Glad it's the end of the day. I can just sit here and chit chat with my friend about video games, and it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be good. I think we're going to have an interesting discussion.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to this one. Hump day is over. Thank goodness. We're on a downhill now. We just got to get through a couple more days and we're out of here. So this month, our book club title is, I don't know if I want to put an adjective as much as illustrious. I'll say because it's not very well known. I don't feel like a whole lot of people, when you bring this up.
I feel like a lot of people know the name, but a lot of people haven't played it. Like, I feel like I could talk to a lot of people and be like, oh yeah, Republic Commando. Like, oh, have you played it? Like, I mean, even like me, like I had only played little bits and pieces of it. I'd never played the whole thing through. It's kind of like an elusive game.
If you didn't infer from that, our title for this month is Star Wars Republic Commando. It was released in 2005 originally for the Xbox and for PC. And it's recently come back on the Switch and PS4. And I believe that was late last year. Let me look at the date. Yeah, April 6th, 2021. Looks like it got a re-release, and they said it had updated visuals, and that was pretty much the only thing they updated, which we will get to, because that's I think one of the things that I was gonna surprise you with on this one. I think we're a lot more aligned than you think we are on this one. But I'll give my big caveat for why I still root for this game. And we'll start from there. So, for those of you who don't know, Star Wars Republic Commando is a tactical first-person shooter that is based in the Star Wars universe during the time of the Star Wars prequel trilogy. I almost said quadrilogy. I don't know why. You are... How should I just call him the boss because they only call him boss, or should I give him his designation? I give you his clone trooper designation is RC-1138, and you are the leader of a commando unit of clone troopers called Delta Squad. Your 3 squad mates are Scorch, which is RC-1262, Fixer, which is RC-1140, and Sev, which is RC-1207. Each of them has a specialty. One of them is a very good combat. One's very good at combat. One's very good at hacking, and one's very good at demolitions. And you are very good at being a leader. So they put you all together to go on a series of missions to help. How should I say? Beat off the separatists. Is that kind of sounds weird? to stop the separatist movement. We'll leave it at that. It takes you through a different series of locations. You go to Geonosis, you go to Kashyyyk, and you're doing a bunch of different objectives to help stop the separatists.
Yeah, like as Delta Squad, you're essentially like the special ops unit, like the things that like just normal troopers would just get demolished doing. Like you're just a 4-man squad. You basically are like a 4-man army. Like you could send a whole like platoon of people into these situations and they die. But these 4 specialists are just like can clean house because I think I read somewhere they actually trained. So the difference is all the other ones trained basically in like VR, where like, you know, virtual missions, where these guys actually trained with live rounds, live fire. So like they actually essentially learned in training exercises, but very much like with their lives in danger and a lot higher stakes compared to like, VR training missions or something like that. So yeah, it's very, very elite group that you're a part of.
And like I was saying earlier, the gameplay of the game is a first-person shooter, but you're able to give commands to your squad. Kind of like that was the big thing at the time because we had Ghost Recon was doing that. Brothers in Arms was doing that around the same time. So
SOCOM.
Yeah, SOCOM. So all these different tactical shooters were coming out, and LucasArts decided to throw their hat into the ring, and they did. They developed Republic Commando. It is... Like I was saying earlier, I don't think a whole lot of people know about this game per se on the grand scheme of things. It was definitely a lesser successful as far as sales go title compared to their other efforts like Jedi Academy, Pod Racer, all those different titles. But that's enough about the game itself. Garrett, I'm gonna let you go first. Now, I understand that you are not the biggest fan of this title, and I'm gonna interject, not in the way you might think I will, but I'll let you go. Okay. Your overall thoughts, top level.
Overall thoughts here. I did not enjoy this game. This is to put it bluntly. It has poor pacing issues. It has poor like dialogue and voice acting. It has poor like shooting mechanics. It has a lot of things that are just not going in its favor. And it was difficult to get through. It's not a long game. I think in all I put like 9 hours into it, but it took me all month because I was dreading to play it every time I came down here, honestly. For like the first few hours, I was enjoying it. But then pretty much actually, because it's 3 chapters. After the first chapter, I was good. That took me about 3-4 hours. And then after that, I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. Like I gotta finish it. So yeah, I know it's kind of dreary outlook there, but I did not enjoy this game at all, which is not what I expected because it's a Star Wars title that I've heard of. I've heard of before, and I feel like I've only ever heard good about it. Like I've heard incredible things about it from my friends and from people like in the industry that I respect, like about it just being like, oh, a revolutionary game, a fun game, like really like.
See, that's the thing though, is it is a great game in 2005.
I don't know though, because I'm thinking back to 2005, like some of those titles you just mentioned that are similar, like Ghost Recon and SOCOM, like those games were good. Like I'm sure there's jank. I'm not going to say there's not jank.
I was going to say, have you played Ghost Recon in the last like 5 years? First Ghost Recon?
No. I haven't, but I'm
gonna let you in on a little secret. All those games play the same. They all play like this.
Level. I don't know.
They all play like this, dude. SOCOM, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, all the original entries in these series, they all play like this today. And that's not a well, if the rest of them are doing it, that's just how games were. I mean, that was in the early days of, first person shooters on consoles. Nobody really had that dialed in yet. And I'm and that's not to say that I'm not trying to make an excuse for it. I'm just trying to give a little bit of insight to the landscape of where games were at that time.
Yeah, I was just looking back at 2005 to see what other. So as far as shooters go, I mean, this is Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out that same year. Call of Duty
That's third
2.
person.
Yeah, Call of Duty 2 came out. That's a first person. Unreal Championship 2 came out on Xbox. Like, so there were other first person shooters that, like,
yeah,
I feel like
they're on another tier.
Played like a lot, but this is a big game still. Like, it's a LucasArts game. Like, they made good stuff.
There's lots of LucasArts games. There's LucasArts games that suck.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a surprise. I think I was more surprised only because of how highly it's been revered, even recently. I hear like in the last recently, but as in like the last 5 years, I've heard people talk highly of it, on whether it's a podcast I'm listening to or from different people, and it's just like, oh, even with the landscape in mind of 2005, like, oh, it's rough. Like, it doesn't hold up very well. That's for sure.
I don't think I can agree. If we're thinking about it, here's the thing. I'll start at the top. I agree that the game has not aged well since 2005. It is definitely rough to play through because none of the mechanics. We're so used to tight, fluid shooters with really nice aim controls and really good movement. When, of course, this game doesn't have any of that. Like I said, because it's at the forefront of that genre per se. At least on consoles. I know you had your Quakes and your Dooms on PC before then, but this was like not that long after the original Halo dropped, which was one of the very first shooters on a console. So, and we also have to remember too that this wasn't Bungie. This was not Bungie making this game. Bungie is on a whole nother level compared to most everybody that we mentioned that was making a game at the time.
Yeah, but it's LucasArts was top of the game. Like, they were like big time AAA at that time too. Like,
with everything else except shooters.
But yeah, and that's why
Republic Commando by far is not their strongest showing. I 100% agree with you on that. But I'm not also gonna sit here and say that it's a outright trash fire. I don't think that harshly of it like you do. I don't think that there's you make it seem like there's nothing redeeming about this game. I don't think. Like, is this a 0 for you, for real?
It's pretty low. I don't know. It's flat 0, but it's like, I honestly can't think of anything like in there that would be like, oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, like the voice acting was bad. Like the score was great. I'll give it that. It sounded like I don't know who scored it.
It's stock Star Wars. That's cheating.
But it sounded like it sounded like it was like it's composed by Jesse Harlan, so it's not a John Williams, but it sounded like it. Like, it was incredible. I'm like, oh man, soundtrack's great.
It's easy to do that with a Star Wars riff. I'm not giving them that one.
That's the only thing I can give it. That's the only thing I can give it. I feel like I did not enjoy the gameplay.
Do you think if you went back and you played Halo 1 right now, you'd feel that it was still good?
I think I would feel
original Xbox Halo 1, not definitive edition.
I think I would feel it was better than this.
For sure.
I feel like, because even on the Master Chief Collection, you can play the original version. And
no, like, it's just the skin. It's still on the definitive engine.
Is it? Are you sure?
Yeah. That's why you can change back and forth between it so fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would enjoy it more than this, because so when did I play? I actually first played the first Halo pretty recently. Like, I didn't play it when it first came out. It was probably about 8 years ago. So still a while ago, but like not 2005. It was in the 2010s,
right.
So, and I remember like enjoying that. Yeah, it was kind of wonky too with like some of the pacing and stuff like that, but nothing like this. Like, nothing like this. I was actually really disappointed with this. I expected a lot more. The AI issues with like your teammates. Like sometimes they did the things you told them, sometimes they didn't. Like sometimes
can't do that, boss. Can't do that, boss.
Yeah,
gotta go get some Bacta.
I tell them to go do something and they do like the opposite, or I like, hey, hold here, get behind that bunker, and they just run out in the middle and get shot up. I'm like, what are you guys doing? So yeah, there's not. I
did you have a lot of glitches? I had a lot of glitches in my playthrough.
So what did you end up playing on? What did you end up playing the game?
I played it on my Series X because they upscaled it to 4K.
Now, was that with backwards compatibility, or was it with the remaster that the HD, not remaster?
I think it was backwards compatibility because I put my disc in there and it downloaded it.
Because I know there is like one that came out last year that's like a quote unquote HD remaster or whatever. So I actually started on the Switch. I bought it on Switch and was like, because I couldn't find the HD version on PC. It was only on PS5, PS4, Switch, stuff like that. So I got on the Switch. And I couldn't even get through the first mission because there was a bug where certain corridors you try to go down and you couldn't turn.
I remember you mentioning this now.
Like I would run up and go to like run around the corner and it wouldn't let me. So I had to turn left and do a full like kind of 360, all the way, or not 360, whatever that would be. But like to make a right turn, I had to take a big left turn essentially. And it was like if I was in a hallway, I could go left or right. I could go anywhere I want just fine. But then you come to a corner and it was almost like, I don't know what was going on, but there was like some bug where, you can't turn right here. Like there's like some weird bug in the Switch version that I kept running into. I uninstalled, reinstalled it, still was doing it. So that's when I bought it on PC as well. So I bought it twice. It's a game that I don't like. I own it twice now.
You're welcome.
And it's like I said, the one on PC is not an HD version that came out last year. It is like the original game from 2005 on Steam.
Running at a crisp 480p.
Yeah, like I turn up the graphics as high as it would go, and it doesn't even have widescreen support. It was still like 4:3 aspect ratio, and
they're not gonna go back and spend money to fix it.
But a lot of those games, like there's like hacks and stuff you can even find online, or like stuff built into Steam to like kind of like trick it into doing like a widescreen, and then there was nothing. Like it would not for the life of me let me expand it to widescreen. So like, well, all right, I guess this is it. So I ended up playing on PC, and I had some like weird bugs and glitches. Well, that's the thing. I don't know if it's bugs or glitches or just because the game is old and weird. But like I was talking about on the podcast Monday night where voice lines were just happening over top of each other. And it's like, okay, I don't know if it's just like, was that a bug or was it like I just so happened to trigger a response from one of my teammates from like Sev or something, and then all of a sudden now the commander from the ship is talking to us, and instead of cutting off the other voice line, they just go over each other, and I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I didn't hear what you said.
I honestly I don't even know if Unreal 2 had the tech to do that at the time. To like I feel like once you hit a trigger, this is not a defense. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if Unreal Tech had the Unreal, because this game was made on Unreal Engine 2. So I don't know if they had the tech. Okay. Like once you hit a trigger or once you hit an area or meta condition, it honestly probably just played an MP3 of whatever voice line that was, and then it just had to play all the way out. So I don't know if that, like I said, again, that's probably something of the time that the game came out in.
Yeah, and then the only other bug I had, and I think it was hardware related, was another graphical thing where when I cranked everything up to ultra, or even if it was on low, it looked like potato graphics. But if I put it on ultra, instead of just looking like, because I looked at screenshots, I brought up a screenshot of the game from when it first came out, and I'm like, I'm playing this on ultra, and it looks worse than that screenshot on IGN or whatever. And I think it's because it's just like an incompatibility with the newer hardware. Like trying to run this game on an RTX 3070, like it's like, what is happening right now?
They couldn't fathom back in 2005.
So like their armor was all glitchy sometimes, whereas like weird textures or like walls would like glitch in and out. But again, that was more of a hardware thing, and I could tell when it was hardware. Like I was like, okay, this isn't the game, this is hardware. And most of the time I could just ignore it because it's like, whatever. It wasn't game breaking. It was just like, oh, that's kind of a weird texture on that wall. It looks like a floor texture on the wall or something like that. But yeah, it is kind of a bizarre playthrough.
So here's where the rub is, right? For some reason, I come out of a more positive outlook on this game. Now, I will agree with you up and down. This game is absolutely rough. I had the worst time with the gameplay itself, just trying to get used to the controls because I'm used to modern. Even though I don't play shooters, I know how a modern shooter feels or is supposed to feel. Right. And I know that this doesn't feel like that. It feels like if somebody who had never made a first-person shooter, if a dev who's never made a first-person shooter before made a first-person shooter, and that's what this game is, for sure.
Yeah, I noticed that when I jumped on Switch, I'm like, oh, this is rough. So I feel like it was almost actually better that I played it on PC because you can pretty much remap anything you want wherever you want, and then on top of that, like, I'm not used to playing a ton of first-person shooters on PC. So but yeah, when I played on Switch, I'm right there with you. I'm like, these controls are wonky and there's only so much. They didn't let you customize much. Like there's only a few things you could like remap on button wise. I'm like,
not to mention the gunplay itself is pretty off. Like, I don't know if you ever noticed, but in your reticle, if you're shooting without looking down the sight, without LDS, your bullets kind of go through to the right of the reticle a little bit and not straight down the reticle. So when you're aiming at somebody, or when I was aiming at somebody, I always had to aim like a little bit to the right, or to the right of them, so that my bullets would hit them when I'm not looking down the sight, and it was so annoying. And then the other issue I had, I think there was a lot of difficulty spikes for no reason. I don't know if you feel the same way, and I was only playing on normal.
Yes, yeah, I was playing on easy because I was just like, that's for book club games. A lot of times I don't have a lot of time to play games. So I'm like, I just need to finish the game, by the end of the month. That's my goal. So I've been playing a lot of games on easy for book club. And there was, weird spikes in chapter 2 and 3, but most of the time within a couple tries, I could get it. But at the end of chapter 1, where it's the section where there's a timer, like you only have so much time. I died probably like 20 times at that section because I had a weird checkpoint save. And then on top of that, like it was really hard. Like the amount of like super droids and droidicas and all that stuff coming in there. And I'm trying to like cut this computer and get out of that building before it blows up or whatever. I'm like, this sucks. Like I was stuck at that for so long. And I'm like, I'm on easy. I should be able to breeze through this, no problem. And it's like, you have 30 seconds. I'm like, it takes 30 seconds to slice the computer. What are you talking about? So I had to go back like 2 checkpoints in order to like restart the section and just basically speed run it. Like I'm like, there's enemies. I'm just running by enemies. I'm like, I need as much time
throwing the shot grenades, trying to stall them. Yeah.
Like I need as much time as possible at the end here because this is impossible. Like there's not enough time, but they don't tell you there's a time limit until like you're in that room. It's like, I needed to know there was going to be a time limit 2 minutes ago, like way before I got to this room. It was like so bizarre.
The hardest part of the entire game for me was, you remember the part where you have to you're on Kashyyyk and they're trying to get to blow up that bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where you get there and you try to blow it up, but the bomb fails. Oh my God. You had a drop thing, a pod of
on either side.
Super droids. You had 2 of them. You had 1 pod of regular droids. You had, oh my God. And then they wanted you to set that charge, and also wanted you to slice the door, which was like, had a minute timer on it. Are you out of your mind?
Crazy. So crazy. Where was another one too? There's another one where, was it on the ship? It was chapter 2. It's at the end of chapter 2, where you're going through the different bays and like clearing them out and like shutting the doors so like the droids don't keep coming in. And there's one where there's like 3 or 4 drops. Like there's a droidicas, a super droid, a regular droid. And they actually say, like, the commander's like, don't worry about the enemies. Just run to the elevator and slice that computer to bring the elevator up. And I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, there's like 30 super droids shooting at me, literally kills my entire squad. I'm the last one left. And I died a couple times, died, restart. Finally, I figured out how to shock them, do the slice a little bit, shock them, slice a little bit, shock them. And then the elevator comes up. There's a freaking big spider
droid
thing. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It's just me. It's just me. Like my squad is dead. There's 30 super droids in this room because they told me to not destroy the pods. And
I don't have any more ammo because I chew through my machine gun ammo. I'm using my pistol. I'm using my pistol that I have to wait to recharge. No grenades except the concussion ones that don't work.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. So yeah, I'm right there with you. The difficulty spikes at certain times. Like other times there's this like I felt like I was speedrunning the game. Like there's like 80% of it, and that's why I think I didn't really enjoy the mechanics of it, like the game or even the story, because like it was just like, so it was easy. Heck, I mean, I was playing on easy, but I was like kind of breezing through it, and then all of a sudden I get to spots where like it was impossible. So it goes from like being like, okay, like the pacing's really bad on this, and I'm not feeling like I'm like missing story beats, or at least just like not getting them played out like they should be. And then all of a sudden it goes to a section where I feel like I'm playing a Dark Souls game. I'm like, what? Why? This should be balanced way better. Like, what is happening here? Like, the easier parts need to be a little harder, and those harder parts need to be brought down a lot. Because like, it's almost like when I got to certain areas, it jumped up to hard, and then I went back down to easy for everything else. And it's like, no, it should all just be like the same. I should have been able to play this at normal, but I'm glad I didn't, because those hard parts I would have been screwed. I don't know what I would have done.
So here, I think, is where you and I are going to split off, right? We agree overall, it has not aged well. But for me, I think the coolest part of this game is not necessarily the game itself, but I think it's the lore that it implies in the Star Wars universe. I think Delta Squad is an awesome idea. I don't know how else to put that. I think I really enjoyed the characters and what little of a semblance of a relationship that we got from them. It felt like they really did care about each other from what, the little quips and dialogues that we got, throughout the game. And as far as their involvement in the prequel trilogy, I like them, being unsung heroes, so that if you were on the surface level of the story, you would never. If you were just watching episode 1, 2, and 3, you would never hear anything or see anything about them. But through this story, through this game, you understand how pivotal they are to some of the Republic's most successful campaigns. And I really dug that part. I also like that we got a little bit more insight into the clone troopers and how they do different breeding, I guess would be, or cloning types, where we got these guys, we got the clones in the Clone Wars, and then we got the Bad Batch, or I think they're the same thing, but we get different kinds of clones, or clones that are able to reprogram or resist programming. That is always interesting canon to me. I don't know if you agree with that. And I think the biggest takeaway I have from this game is I would love to see a studio now take a shot at remaking this. I think this could be an excellent modern day game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think if this was remade, and not just like remastered, but remade.
Right. I'm talking ground up.
This could be something really awesome, because like I mean, so some of the things it's lacking, I've already kind of said, but I haven't really said like outright. So here's what would have made it better. I've said what was bad about it, but here's what actually would have made it better. Obviously the shooting mechanics would be great. So, and there's a lot of like nowadays, like most companies can do that. Like there's not too many shooters today that are like downright garbage,
right.
For the most part, they're pretty fantastic. But man, if they get a good studio that could like actually put a story in the game, because I understand like there's some interesting lore that's brought up in the game, but to me there was no like through story necessarily. Like there kind of is, like obviously like chapter 1, 2, and 3, it's 3 different areas you go to and it's all fighting the same enemies. Well, you find out later in chapter 3 that they're all working together, but I feel like they didn't. It was almost like it was just a random throwaway line in chapter 3 where they're just like, oh, what are the Geonosians doing here? They must be working together. All right. And then it just went back to shooting. So I think like nowadays getting a good studio that could like get a good story that really ties it together, helps you like actually connect with the characters throughout the game. They're like, 3-8 or 6-2's down, 40's 0-7. And I'm like, I don't know who that is. Is that guy? That guy? That guy? Like, I don't know. Like, you're saying numbers like, help Sev. And I'm like, which one's Sev? Because I think that's what it is. The game shows the numbers, but they kept using the names like, send Fixer over. I'm like, which one's Fixer? Like, it just says 6240 and 07. Like, I don't know which one's Fixer. Like, what are you talking about? Because there's no like relationship built. Like, unless I like sat down and memorized it, like brought up a wiki while I was playing, like I felt like there was nothing in the game in the story that really helped me like to latch on and actually care about these characters. So even the ending, I was talking to you about this. It might have been before the show on Monday. I don't think it was during the episode. But the ending is so bizarre on this game because there's no payoff. And like, well, you could very clearly tell they designed this game to have, should have been called like a part. It was supposed to be a part 1. There was supposed to be a sequel.
Right.
But like that was very, very presumptuous of them to think they'd get a sequel. Not that like the fact that they would make a game just assuming that's what I mean, to just assume they would get a sequel because
unless they were greenlit a 2-part.
Maybe. But so yeah, basically at the end it's like, oh my gosh, Sev is left behind. We got to go save him. And then the commander's like, no, you got to follow orders. Get out of there now. Oh, we want to save Sev. And meanwhile, I'm like, who's Sev? Like, I don't even, like, I know he's one of my guys, but who cares? He could be, he's no different than Steve over there. I don't know. And then it's like, all of a sudden, boom, it cuts to black, loading screen. It cuts back from loading screen and you're on a ship. You and 2 other guys. I assume neither one of them are Sev because there's not 3 of them. So I'm like, all right, I don't know. This is Joe and Schmo over here, I guess, that I'm on a ship with my other buddies. And like, it's in the weirdest ending where it's like depression because they're like, oh, we left Sev behind. And then there's like this weird like sadness about finding out that, wait, we were sent on a mission to spearhead an invasion on this planet to help the Wookiees, to fight back to, like, why weren't we told about this? We thought it was just a one-off mission. Like, we weren't told it was a full-on assault. And it's in my head too, like, why are they upset about that? Like, who cares? Like, you're there to help the Wookiees. Because they thought they were done. Great. I guess, but I don't know. It just like, that's their job, right? Like, you're a clone. You literally were bred to fight, like, to do this, yeah. And then it goes to like, oh my gosh, like a hologram pops up, and one of the guys whispers to the other, like, oh, look, it's Master Yoda. Can't believe we met Master. He's like all excited and happy, and then it literally ends as you come up over the trees and you turn around and look out at all these starships full of clone troopers coming in, and they're like, wow, look how incredible that is, and then boom, fate's like. Crash, smash cut, boom, right to credits, metal music playing. And I'm like,
let's not lie. Hold on. You know what? We talked about we talked about the music. Right, we talked about the music. The song kind of slaps, dude. Let's not lie about it. The ending song to the game is kind of good.
It was fine. It was very 2000s, but it was just such a bizarre ending because it was just like this, like I said, the pacing was wonky. Like, I know it sounded weird, probably me retelling it, but that's literally like how it happened, at least on my computer. So I don't know if there's a bug or what, but it was like things were like cut off and jumbled, and all of a sudden I was here, and then they're sad, and then they're happy, and then they're like, oh my gosh. It's almost
like, I think it was rushed. I don't know why they...
Yeah, it felt super rushed, and I was just like, "What is happening?" And then to just smash cut to just some rocking tune, what they were trying Breaking Benjamin or something.
Why were they trying to get it out the door so fast? That's my thing, because it came out in February. Christmas is over. What deadline were you trying to meet?
Right. Get in before that summer rush. I don't know.
I don't know.
They wanted that spot before like Horizon Zero Dawn got it, you know? That's always like Horizon, like come out in March and February or something.
They wanted that spot, 17 years or 15 years before?
I don't know. It was bizarre.
I think overall, I think we can agree this is not a great game.
No.
But I think the way I'm thinking about it is I see the potential. I don't know if that makes sense. I see the potential for a great game in this game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's why I was saying I would like to see
with you.
somebody.
There's potential.
Yeah, I think I would like to see somebody now take another stab at it with what we know now about game development and how far it's come, especially since 2005, to see the original full vision of this game without having to rush an ending, without not really having experience making a first-person shooter, without old tech that doesn't let you turn off voice lines or anything like that. I think it could really be something, and I think it could stand up. I don't know if I would have. You know what? That's a good question. Who would you want if they did a remake to make it? We're talking ground up, so it's gonna play like whatever developer you want to make it. Because honestly, I'm thinking Respawn.
Yeah, that's a good one. Trying to think. I was trying to think of EA devs because they're mainly people who've touched like Star Wars products the last few years. Although now they don't have the contract, so anyone can take it. But
because they're good at what they do.
I mean,
any other Call of Duty studios, maybe?
I would love to see like Bungie get their hands on it. Imagine Bungie.
Really?
Imagine. I mean, it's could just essentially be a reskin Destiny, you know? Like it's already like a sci-fi shooter. Like, man, imagine like this, like having slide mechanics and the other thing with like Destiny being a multiplayer game. Imagine being able to do this like with friends, like instead of just an AI. Mm-hmm. Like the other three people just being AI. Imagine like the other two people could be your friends. Actually do like a four-player co-op.
That was like non-conditional for me. That was going to be part of it. Like this was not going to be, unless you were playing by yourself, it was not going to be AI. It was going to be drop in, drop out.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I feel like that'd be perfect for like what Destiny already is. Like as far as a framework, as far as like drop in, drop out, playing with buddies, sci-fi shooter. Mm-hmm. That would be killer. Like I'd be down for Bungie. I mean, obviously they're kind of like the king of first-person shooters from Halo to Destiny, but yeah, I don't know. That'd be a big get. I know. Now Bungie, did the deal ever go through with Sony? Are they actually owned by Sony now, or
they're not owned? They're partnered in a sense,
right? Like
they're going to be able to use Sony for its resources, but I'm pretty sure they're going to have to make an exclusive game here or there for them. But. Yeah. It's kind of like they're almost like a second party in a sense. I picked Respawn because I really like the way that their shooters move. I don't know if you've ever. Yeah. I'm sure you've played Titanfall 1 and 2 before.
I've not played Titanfall 1 and 2, but I've played Apex Legends. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they are really good at kinetics, like making really movement really well. I think they do that better than anybody in the game for sure. And I think when you have as chaotic an environment as I'm not saying you have to make the clone troopers, do somersaults and turn flips and have jetpacks and all that kind of stuff.
But I at least want to be able to just freaking like jump over a little wall. The amount of times
like hurdle or stuff like that.
The amount of times I go up to a wall and just like try to hit the spacebar to jump and you can't, like you don't jump over. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. The wall's like 3 foot tall. Like why can't I climb over this?
Imagine doing that. The bay mission that you were talking about where you have to clear out the bays with the movement of an Apex Legends. Oh, man.
That would be
it would be a totally different experience.
So good, yeah.
So I think these are both great picks. And I wish that this would actually happen. I don't think it will, just because the source material is so buried at this point. Although in pop culture,
it's considered Legends now, right? Like it's not like Disney. Well, wasn't Sev or one of them was in an episode of Bad Batch, weren't they?
I feel like.
So at least
Now
the
I gotta go
characters,
digging.
at least the characters are like exist in canon, but I think the game itself is Legends, and it seems like Star Wars is kind of like they're not so keen.
Well,
about
it
the whole
can't be Legends
stuff,
if
but
they're in current canon projects. Scorch is in it. The yellow one.
Okay, the yellow. All right,
one.
that's helpful. That's helpful. I knew what color they are. That's great.
Yeah,
okay.
so if they're in it, that technically means this is canon.
Yeah, I mean, according to I'm on Wikipedia, and it just says it's still considered Legends. But I mean, who knows? It probably only says that because Disney hasn't officially said Republic Commando is canon. Like
Right.
until
there's no press release.
Until Mr. Disney comes out and says that, then
Mr. Disney. Oh, until Mr. Disney steps out of his grave, the first thing he says is Republic Commando is canon.
Oh man.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of where I'm probably going to end up on it. It's not the best game these days. I think it was much better in its heyday, and I think I can see the potential in it. I understand, of course, exactly where you're coming from. It does not play well. It did not age well as a whole entire product, and I think the story could have been very much expanded on. But this was also LucasArts' first attempt at a first-person shooter. So I don't necessarily think that they had a handle on what they were doing as far as the genre is concerned.
I'm just going to look up a list of LucasArts games. I'm just curious what other games came out around that.
So Pod Racer came out a little bit before that, I think.
Okay, so in 2003, that's when we got like Knights of the Old Republic and the Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy stuff like that.
Yeah, Jedi Academy.
2004, we got Battlefront,
which is
Star
third
Wars,
person.
Star Wars Galaxies, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. Wow, a year later, Knights of the Old Republic 2 came out? That's crazy. So like you got the sequel to the game the next year. That's impressive.
That's how good BioWare is. Or I'm sorry, that's how good BioWare was.
Yeah. 2005, we got Star Wars Republic Commando, Lego Star Wars a video game, Star Wars Episode 3, Star Wars Galaxy Episode 3, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Star Wars Galaxies, Star Wars Empire at War. Okay. I mean, there were other,
like their only first-person shooter.
Well, there are other games besides Star Wars games too. Like there's Mercenaries Playground of Destruction that they did as well.
Oh my god, I haven't thought about that game in a long time.
That was third person though, right? Or was it
first?
Okay.
That was the one. I remember those commercials, dude. Now that you're mentioning it, everything is destructible.
Oh,
you can blow up any building. Remember that?
I remember. Yeah. That's awesome.
Where's that game? Where's that series at? Where have they been?
Bring it back. Yeah, no, they didn't really do any other first-person shooters. I mean, technically, Battlefront, you could hit a button and go to first-person mode, but it wasn't a first-person shooter. It wasn't a first-person shooter at all.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, huh. I mean, overall, that's kind of where I sit on the game. I don't know if you want to give any closing thoughts, because that's pretty much mine.
Well, yeah, for me... my closing thoughts is this game has potential, but it ain't
good.
It doesn't mean it's good. Like it has potential in the sense that in a better time and in better hands, it would have been great. But unfortunately, the time it came out in the hands it was made, it was
too ambitious.
It is not good. And so I don't know if I can recommend playing this game. Like if you're super into like the lore and you actually are going to go through this game like super slowly and listen to every piece of dialogue, then so be it. But the way it's designed is not conducive. It's not conducive to listening to the lore. like that's what I mentioned earlier with like, I feel like I barely got the story because the way it's designed, like it's kind of fast paced and like you just miss you, whether it's dialogue just cuts out or you're just distracted by combat. And so, yeah, I don't know if I can recommend this unless, you plan on playing it super slow pace so that way you can listen to every line of dialogue. That might be your best bet. Like watch like a Let's Play and kind of skim through sections, because I can't recommend this game. Don't play it.
Just know whoever you're going to watch on a Let's Play is going to die a bunch of times. I don't think there's anybody who's gone through this game with a Let's Play and has not died at least once.
It definitely don't buy this
glitch or an error.
Yeah, definitely don't buy the Switch version because of the weird bugs in the HD edition.
It probably also runs the worst too, just because of it being on the Switch compared to everything. Does it even run in 60 on Switch?
Oh, I don't even know. I have no idea. Oh. I just got it because it was going to be handheld. I'm like, great, I can sit in bed and play this game and knock it out in a week. And then it didn't work, so I had to play on my PC.
Now you can delete it.
Yeah.
Get your 5 gigabytes back.
I wish I could get a refund, honestly, but Nintendo doesn't
too late.
Do that. Nintendo
they got you.
Yeah.
Just think of it as you're possibly funding the remake because it's canon, because we said so. Commando.
You know who that money goes to? It was the remake was developed by Aspire Games, which is the people who are doing the Knights of the Old Republic remake, which just got delayed.
Your joke? I didn't even put that together.
It's the same company, so I don't want to give do they deserve our money?
Hang on now. Wait a minute now. Hold on. It's been 15 years. 15 plus years.
No. Aspire's the one who did the HD remake last year.
So they did the original game and the remake?
No. LucasArts did the original game. Aspire did the remake for Switch and PS4.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. But KOTOR is on indefinite hiatus right now, right?
And that's what I'm saying. Like you were saying, oh, buy this game so it supports them, making another Republic Commando. I was like, they're not making a Republic Commando because they're too busy with Knights of the Old Republic, and even that's on hold. So who knows?
I don't want Aspire to make it anyway. I'm just talking about give the money to Lucasfilm, so they see that people are buying units.
You got to buy the original then.
Who do we want?
buy the original on PC then or Xbox.
You don't even have to play it. Just buy a unit, please. They're like $5.
If you buy it on Switch or PS4, it goes to Aspire. Don't do that. Just buy it from Xbox or PC so it actually goes to LucasArts. And then they can see, okay, they
8 people bought it. You know what?
8 people.
Let's go ahead and put $100 million into this one.
Oh, man. Yeah. Crazy.
All right. Well, I think we've said all we can say. I'm going to call this episode. This was more fun than I thought it was going to be. I can tell you that.
It's fun to just trash on games once in a while. I feel like every episode of Book Club I've been on, I've been so positive because I've enjoyed it. Every game has been incredible. There's not very many games I come across that I dislike, honestly, because I have a pretty low bar in gaming. This is like a first, I think, in a long time of a game oh, this is trash. So as bad as I feel, it also feels really good at the same time. I'm like, oh man, it feels good to be negative once about. I like to have a range of emotions. Like it's not all sunshine and rainbows over here in video game land. There's some iffy games out there.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I would sit. I think iffy. I think I'm iffy on it. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's outright trash. I don't know if I would at this point be like, oh, go out and buy it. It rules. It's the best game in history. Yeah, I mean this is good though because this resets our bar. You know what I mean? As far as book club goes, now you know that if going forward we like something, we genuinely like it. So
yep,
we could use this as
we'll say otherwise.
The great, huh?
Because we'll say otherwise.
Yeah,
we will.
We can use this as the great palate cleanser to let everybody know that look, we actually don't like stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I think that'll do it here. Thank you, good people, for hanging out with us and talking all things Republic Commando. Garrett, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and thank you for persevering and getting through this one. I know it was a rough one, but they can't all be winners, unfortunately, just on the sheer numbers.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad I could make it because
of course.
I was, again, like I said, it was like kind of coming down the wire to finish this game. I'm like, am I gonna need to back out?
I honestly wouldn't have been mad at you if you just watched the ending.
Yeah, just watch the rest of it. Oh shoot.
Hopefully next month should be a complete opposite. I guess I can go ahead and say it here. Yeah. We are covering for next month's book club. We're playing the People Won't Shut Up About It smash hit that has been out for a while, but I finally have access to it now that it's on consoles and
Game Pass, right?
Pretty much everywhere, is Omori. And we are going to be joined once again by none other than Miss Ray the Rat herself, as she is a self-proclaimed super fan, and I couldn't think of anybody else but her to come on and help us out with that. So, I guess I could tell you to get excited because I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this game.
Yes,
I don't know if you've heard anything about it yourself.
I haven't heard anything about it. I've just just looking at it online, it looks interesting. I actually bought it because you said we're going to do it next month, so a couple of weeks ago, and it's on sale.
And it came out on Game Pass.
Yeah, it was on sale on Steam, so I picked it up on Steam, and then like a week later, it's like, oh, free on Game Pass. I'm like, well, all right, that's fine, whatever. So, but yeah, it's from 2020. It's on pretty much everything, it looks like. So yeah, you guys have no excuse to play it along with us. So you can listen next month.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's going to be a 180 from today. So
fingers crossed.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. You can catch us here on every last Friday of the month. And we also have our older episodes up on its own podcast feed from 2 months back. I believe that was the one that you and I did, right? That was Edith Finch still? No, it's a
2 months ago, episode 10. That was Super Mario World.
That's right, with the Nintendo Cartridge Society.
Yeah, fantastic episode.
1/3 of the Super Nintendo Holy Trinity. Oh, man.
Yes.
What a legendary game.
That was a good one.
All right, everybody. Take care. We're out of here. Till next time. And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed the episode. As a reminder, if you want to catch any of the new episodes the first Friday that they come out of every month, you can find them only on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/supergamerboys. And don't forget to check out our main episodes too. Those are pretty cool if I say so myself. All right, we're out of here. Peace.